Hello class, I am going to re-record the meeting question and answer session from the other night because as you can hear, I have a terrible cold and I was coughing, and so it was a little bit disruptive. So I will record this again. This was a question and answer session, and basically you were to come with your questions. I did overview the class briefly and went over the next assignment. So just a few things that I wanted to point out because you already do have the orientation to the class video, and that should answer most of your questions. But I did want to go through a few announcements that I think are important. And so we will go to the announcement page and I will discuss with you any of these announcements. One of these is the grading policy, and that is once you have received your grade, we do not allow resubmissions or redos. So please note that all assignments and quizzes should be turned in by Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. If you have the option of turning in an assignment late, but for every day it's late, 10% will be deducted, the next day 20, and then by Wednesday it would be 30%, and after that nothing can be accepted. If you do have concerns about your grade, please email me or text me. If you put your comments in the feedback, I do not see those until a report is generated, and sometimes that can be several days later. So the best way to reach out to me is email or text. You need to do that within 1 week of your grade, so that we can have this discussion, so that basically in week 7 we do not go back and look at grades. So you have 1 week to discuss your grade if you think you have a disagreement or a discussion. The next thing I wanted to talk to you about is, I think you all know how to get a hold of me. My email and my phone. I am on Central Standard Time and sometimes I'm on Eastern Standard Time. So if you would please contact me between the hours of 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, I would really appreciate it. I tend to be a morning person, so I am up usually many times 4 or 5 o'clock your time. Not that you need to be awake at that time. The other thing I think it's important is how to be successful in the discussion threads. We do have a video on that. I think the two biggest areas I see are the size of the quote. Remember, it can only be 20%. And then also in your APA format, if you are using a quote, please make sure that you include a page or paragraph number where you found that direct quote. So that is basically what I wanted to discuss with you as far as just some things to point out. However, I do want to go over the assignment that is due this week, and that is a healthy lifestyle assessment. And basically what you are doing in this assignment is looking for a geographical area and telling me why you picked that area. So when we talk about a geographical area, it's a good idea is to possibly someplace you've lived, where you live now. Some students have decided to go on the internet and do an assessment that way, but so you cannot always get all the information you need. It is best to find an area that is not too large because that way it makes it easier for you to do. And I will go through a paper in the end, and hopefully you'll get an idea of what it would look like. So what you're going to do is look at that area and then assess for healthy living styles. So I live in New Berlin, Wisconsin. What is in this area that provides physical activity, nutrition, health screening, social activities, immunization, educational activities? So I'm going to look and see what kind of parks we have in the area, what kind of gyms are available, what does the health office offer, what's offered for, maybe there's educational schools in the area that might talk about nutrition. What are the social activities that are involved, immunization, and again, educational activities. So I'm just doing an assessment of where I live and what is out there. Then how available are these for the public? Are they free or do they cost money? Now, parks may be free, but a gym membership might cost money. Again, there might be specials for senior citizens or that type of thing. Then what about people who have disabilities or the elderly? How accessible are these to these people? What about the parks? Do they accommodate wheelchairs? Do they have that type of thing? So again, you're talking about that. And then in your conclusion, you want to have a summary and are there populations that might be limited? Then you're going to follow APA format, and just excuse me for a minute while I cough. Hopefully I can continue on. The paper must be in APA format, 3 to 5 pages, and it needs to be in a Word document. If you are using a Mac, you need to change the format and put it in a Word document. We do have a policy that says you are responsible for submitting an appropriate paper that we can read. And if it is not, and we do have to contact you on Monday, you would be falling under the late policy. So make sure when you're submitting it, it is in an appropriate format. Here is your rubric and your points. Again, make sure that you're covering everything in this area to get all the points. And then again, covering all this area and this section and your conclusion. I will show you an example of a paper. I strongly suggest, and I'll get that paper up right now, that you use titles because titles sort of separate your paper. And let me just make sure that I have it in here. Okay, I just put it in here a few minutes ago. Now, of course, I can't find it. Let me just keep looking and I'll keep talking. If I can't find the paper now while I'm doing this, I will put it up at the end of this announcement and then you'll be able to see it. As I was saying, here it is. I suggest using APA headings because it divides up your paper and then you know you're hitting all the criteria. So this person did Ephraim, and you can see that each section is divided off by a heading. And person talks about availability to all populations, vulnerable populations, and conclusion. So this will be put in the announcements. Just note that these should have been indented. I know sometimes it gets tricky, but please make sure that this is the proper format here. If you have any questions about this assignment, please put these in the questions for instructor, and I'll try to answer them within 24 hours. Or contact me or email me, and I will be happy to answer those questions. I'm looking forward to working with you online and in the class. And again, please reach out to me with any concerns or thoughts that you may have.